Live from the Hangtime Hangar, sit back, relax, and prepare to get down with the Hangtime Podcast.
Andy, you got any tattoos?
No, I don't. I've been contemplating getting tattoos, but it's always one of those things that seems cooler in theory for me.
Yeah.
Like I've been wanting to do almost like and the more I think of it, the worse it sounds, but it would basically, like, my back would basically become a Pinterest board, of like all of the things that I've kind of been into my whole life to kind of like tell a story. That way, when I never have kids, I can tell those kids that don't exist, like, oh, that's a Pokeball. Oh, that's a Rush. That they're a band from like old, the 70s and 80s, and that's a logo for blah blah blah. But the more I think of it, it's like, yeah, you're just you're just a Pinterest board. You're just a Tumblr wall.
I had an idea for I'm gonna save my back piece for a video game tattoo, but I've had this idea since like since 10th grade. But it's Grove Street.
Oh.
It's the cul-de-sac, but all of my favorite video game characters are hanging out for a block party.
Oh, that's really cool. That's cool.
So you like Captain Price is like up on the overpass with a sniper rifle, and then like Hollow Knight is like, a kiddie
flipping the
pool.
burger. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you're like flipping the burger, yeah. And you got like CJ, and then like Ash is like hide in the bushes with Pikachu and stuff, but it's the whole cul-de-sac.
I mean,
but
fuck the tattoo. That seems like a great idea for Hang Time to have an art print to sell.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to put you all in this block party with all your favorite video game characters, and not even video game characters, like, throw John McClane in there, throw all these action stars, and
like
everybody's at this block
thing.
party. Yeah. And sell it as like a like a more of a horizontal type print. I think that would do gangbusters.
Like a big poster. Man, I'm always concerned with selling art as individual properties, because like it's so weird, because you'll go to like conventions and stuff, and like people are, there's like the vendor hall, and it's like, cool, that's a print that somebody else did that you stole, and now you're selling it for $30 a pop at the convention. So like I've never known how. Can you got any
like
insight
IP?
onto that?
You mean like
yeah,
IP
like
laws?
IP.
I think unless you are a company like, I don't know, Google making a Disney type thing without Disney's consent, I think they'll come strike down the hammer on you. And by strike down the hammer, you'll get a cease and desist, and that's whatever. Like I've gotten cease and desist before from HBO for making like Game of Thrones fan art.
Oh, really?
And they just take it down the website, and that's whatever. The shitty sites like Redbubble and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think aside from that, like they won't know. Well, mama don't know, don't hurt her.
Yeah, you ask for forgiveness and not permission.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an idea. Okay, well, I'll do it. I'll hire an artist, and we'll put it up on hangtime.gg/shop. And I'm already doing a read for the brand new spring lineup.
Oh!
The only shirt that could get you beat up in a Starbucks. The woke garbage tie-dye shirt coming soon.
I love
for
that.
spring lineup.
I love that.
I pulled it from the comment section of a different YouTube channel.
I love the font treatment.
You like that?
Yeah, that's very,
it's
very
ATC
nice.
Dual. It's actually the exact same, because Zach Silver, who did Kind of Funny's branding, he did our stuff. It's actually the exact same font on like the Dodge Ram.
Oh shit!
Of the hood. I never realized that.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
But yeah, Chase did good. And then we found a vendor that like they basically make safety shirts for like construction crews and stuff. But their rate was like extremely good, so it makes it profitable for Chelsea to run our merchandise and stuff. So we're giving this a shot.
Oh, so is this like a specialty place that does tie-dye stuff? Or is it just a general kind of...
I don't know why they had a tie-dye shirt, but most of the company is like, it's for like road crews for like bright neon shirts and stuff. But, bright neon shirts are kind of like our thing.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea of like, yeah, we do construction stuff, but my dream's always been to make merchandise for internet groups. So yes, we have a tie-dye offering. It's like, Dad, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to work in merchandise for construction. I want to do my own thing, Dad.
You know, there's a rogue kid that just works there, and he's like hoping for the best for this one opportunity. But anyways, so if you were to get like a single video game tattoo, it would be a Pinterest of everything that you like video game and pop culture wise.
I would think so. I just don't think I can necessarily commit. Like I have massive commitment issues, and I for some reason think that there's going to be a big issue in the future with this tattoo, and maybe I get identified in a crime, and I just create like the craziest scenarios in my head. But it would be like very minimal, very I mean, the more that I explain it, it just sounds like a fucking like an iPhone wallpaper where it would almost look like icons. Very minimal. Like I want them all to match. I want them to kind of have the same style guidelines.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just monotone. Maybe it isn't like the actual red and white Pokeball. What if it's just the outline with that, and then the Triforce, and then Dallas Cowboys star, and then the San Antonio Spurs spur, you know, like just kind of like very minimal looking things like that. But the more I think of it, it would just look like you could scroll on my back and get to the weather widget, you know.
Get a skin graft that's like a flap.
Go down and see the all apps area.
Just get some skin grafts and flip it like a calendar so you get a multiple pages.
Scroll down and it's a text from my dad like, "Hey, can I call you?" Like, "Oh, god damn it, let me swipe that away."
It's the grossest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, you said it, fuck.
Yeah, I know. But I have you on. You are like you're probably the most talented person I know. Yeah. Okay. So I remember whenever when you got to Kind of Funny, I was like, God, that's gonna be a steal for them. Because you were working at Rooster Teeth under the merch department, right?
No, I was in their game dev team.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you were in their merch department because you do like design so well, right?
I was mostly doing merch for Kind of Funny as a side thing while I was working at Rooster Teeth. But I had been doing merch stuff for Kind of Funny since before I even went to Rooster Teeth. As just I'm a fan in the community. I see Rooster Teeth has a lot of fans making fan art. I don't see a whole lot of people in the KF community doing that. What if I can be that person? So I just kind of like took advantage of what I know with Photoshop and stuff like that. And so I was doing a lot of merch things on the Kind of Funny side, but I was still working at my first game studio. And then I eventually left that studio to go work for Rooster Teeth's game dev team. Yeah.
So you were hired as, you're kind of like Jeremy Dooley, or like you were hired on because you got your start just in the community, just hanging.
Yeah, pretty much. They like Kevin Coelho will always tell me like the day that I told him that I got hired at Rooster Teeth that he and Tim were like, fuck, like damn it, we were gonna get him, you know. And that's like the feeling that they had because they're like, damn, Rooster Teeth is big and he's probably just going to stay there, and it's close to home, and it's Austin, Texas, and it's a 5-hour drive from his hometown in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's like all the kind of advantages and benefits are on the RT side of things. But I was always a fan of Kind of Funny, like when I was in college and watching, you know, Podcast Beyond on IGN and all that shit.
Yeah.
But I was always of the mind that like I don't really listen to the Kind of Funny podcast because like I don't want my video game people talking about whatever. Like I'm here to listen to you talk about video game news, and I don't think I necessarily knew that I wanted a general whatever podcast until I started listening to like My Brother and Me from the McElroy brothers, and I was like, I'm so used to them talking games, but I'm still having a lot of fun talking or hearing them talk about whatever the hell it is they want to talk about. And that's where I kind of like, you know, started watching Kind of Funny content along with all the other Rooster Teeth products. Yeah.
I gotcha. It's kind of like Snowbike Mike. Like if you guys hadn't scooped Snowbike Mike, and if I would have known about Snowbike Mike before you guys, like he would be in Dallas right now working with us.
Dude, yeah, that was always that was like always a goal to hire him, like especially from the early days of just the Skype calls that we would do. And I met him at Kind of Funny Live 2, which was, damn, I'm blanking on the year. Was that 20? I think it was like 2017, maybe 2016. And I was at Rooster Teeth at that point, and I had gone to Kind of Funny Live 2 to go help with the merch team, because it was like they needed help. I'm on the game dev team, but everybody's like, I remember the merch team being like, well, you're like friends with them. Do you want to come like help sell merch, and we'll just like pay for your flight and hotel? I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So I was so happy I went on there. Like, I went out there on a professional sort of budget, so I didn't have to spend any of my own money, and that was awesome.
Oh, I love that.
And that's where I met Snowbike Mike. And I think the thing that was super important for us to understand about Mike was that, like, until I really started gaming with him, I didn't know that he was funny in a purposeful way. I thought we were laughing at just how crazy of a character Snowbike Mike is. Mm-hmm. And man, he's funny, but like, does he understand that he's funny? And it wasn't until kind of getting the hang of that. And I think that's so massive, because like, I talk about this, like, when it comes to people in the community making things, it has to be very of my own taste for me to go like, wow, that's an actually really funny thing. Mm-hmm. And I can kind of get a little cringy whenever somebody tries to make something that isn't necessarily my humor. It's the reason why, like, when we were making our party mode show, I always wanted to edit it. I didn't want anybody to edit it, because I know what I think is funny, and I know my comedic like sensibilities. Mm-hmm. And if somebody else were to do that, I'd be like, I wouldn't have gone with that. I would have changed that. I'm like very controlling of my shit.
And critical as well.
Yeah, but it was just great to find out that, like, oh, Mike is like purposely funny as well. It's not just like this crazy character that you tell your friends about.
Yeah. I think whenever we met him in person, it's like we spent a lot of time with him on camera, obviously, like when we went to Tahoe for the road trip. But like, he is smart and he is witty. He's not just. It's is he wacky or is he comedic?
Yeah.
You know, it's like a huge difference, and he's both, and that's and what's important for me, especially like whenever I'm like looking for people, and like we're not going to be hiring for a very long time, but whenever I was like looking for a new host, even like when like before Wes and then to replace Wes, it was like, who has presence? You know, who's in the fucking room all the time, because that's what you want whenever you're live streaming, right? And like Mike wasn't just in the room, he filled the room, and yeah, that's really awesome.
Seems like he's been doing it his whole life. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but enough about Mike, he sucks. So I've been watching from the sidelines, like everything you do is like really cool, like Kind of Funny Live, when you like played the anthem on the guitar and stuff, and you're designing merch, and you're Twitch streaming, and your Twitch stream is like just growing like absolute balls out crazy, which is awesome, right? But you like everything you touch, like you're like really good at it.
Oh, thanks, bro.
At least from the outside. So like, where does your talent and your creativeness come from?
I think growing up, I just always kind of wanted to like animate as a kid. And so I was always kind of making my own cartoons and like flip books and shit like that.
Oh, do you have any?
No, like I if I do, they are somewhere in an attic at my parents' house. Yeah. But I was always making like, I don't know, I would watch like the making of this movie and I was like really big on those on HBO when they had like, here's the making of Titanic or the making of, and I just got really into like the visual arts and shit like that. And also just seeing whenever animators are showing how they animate and they'd like be flipping the pages, I'd be like, man, that's so fucking cool. And so from an early age, I was really into drawing. I was really into art. And that's where I kind of found my outlet, where I was like creating characters and making video games, but like not designing them, just kind of like, this is what the character would be and this is the world, and I would draw the overworld map. And I just found a lot of my creative outlet through video games. That was kind of like what the catalyst of it all. And I was animating stuff, and wanting to be a cartoonist, and I was always kind of, me and my group of friends were always like the funny group of friends in school that we've, I think we were just kind of liked by a lot of people because we weren't pissing anybody off. Like we didn't have beef with anybody. Everybody just like, oh, those guys are cool. So like, we found our comedic outlet there as well, and I feel like we were always making each other laugh. But I just found a way to kind of like combine it all, I think, in college. And I knew that I wanted to do something with it and find a way to utilize, like, how can I make people laugh but also show that I can do art and things of that nature. And then I kind of gave up on all the art stuff because I wanted to do music. And my brother had this acoustic guitar that he like just never played. And so I picked it up, and I was into, like, at the time I just started listening to like Sum 41 and Green Day and Blink-182, and I learned how to play Damn It on my guitar by Blink-182. And suddenly, like, music kind of became the focus, and I kind of lost all the passion for art and animating and creating characters. And suddenly it was like, I'm going to be a musician, and I'm going to do this, and this is going to be my life. And I was learning how to play songs, and then there's this program that my friend had showed me called Tabit. And it is like the most archaic. I still have Tabit on this computer because I still utilize it. And it's like this old, shitty little MIDI program that you just input your own notes, and you could go to the tablature area and download, here's how to play this song by fucking whatever band.
I think my friend who was like a metal guitarist, like crazy, like a talent show, he plays like a 15-minute solo, and like we pretend it's like we're really like, cool, you could have stopped 2 minutes ago, you would have won. Can you just shut that? Yeah, just shut the hell up. But he had the same thing. It was like he'd put in his own tabs, or he'd learn tabs from, and this was like 2006, 2007.
Yeah, I'd say like it's like 04, 05 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded kind of like if you took like Saint Anger and then put it on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
That's how the system would play it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it is. And a lot of them were just like fan submitted things. And I would learn how to play music there, but then I started writing music, and then I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a musician. And I started a band, and I quit that band, and then I joined another band, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually I got to a point where it started getting pretty serious, where me and my friends were like, we were flown out to Hoboken, New Jersey to go record an album. And I was like, this is going to be my life, you know? And we recorded the album, and the dude who owned that record, or the dude who owned that studio, like Taking Back Sunday had recorded there, and Dave Matthews Band had recorded there. And suddenly we're getting connections, and I was like, whoa, like I'm going to be a musician. This is crazy. And then it just like, it led to nowhere. I'm sure we are one of a billion different cases of like, wow, this single's going to take you places, y'all. And then like nothing happens. And we kind of eventually broke up. And that's when I moved to Austin. I was like, I want to get back into art. And I just didn't know what to do though. I knew that like Austin Community College had a program where you could learn how to animate, or maybe get into some beginner game design things. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But once I got into Austin Community College, I started like 2D animating, and then putting my voiceover into stuff and making little stupid comedic shorts. And then it all changed when one teacher was like, at the end of class, was like, hey, can you stay after class? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she was like, you need to go to a university. You need to go to like an art school.
That's awesome.
You need to not be here. Like, go to like an actual place where you can further this. And that was
how
like,
validating was that?
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, that changed my life. That like immediately, like, I left feeling like the most accomplished I'd ever felt, and calling my parents and being like, I'm going to look to go to an art school, and it's going to be a lot more expensive, but
yeah,
it just feels like it's what I need to do. And yeah, dude, that was like a massive moment in my life. So
Yeah.
I went to the Art Institute after that and spent probably like 9 times what I paid at ACC.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot and I found my voice there, dude. And I was 2D animating more and trying to like I looked up to Seth MacFarlane. Like I was so into Family Guy and American Dad at the time, and shows like, you know, Rick and Morty had started at that point as well. And I was like, man, I could do this. I could like be funny and animate things. And then I took my first 3D class and I was like, oh, I'm a 3D sculptor. I'm a character artist now. This is what I do. And that's
You
where
fell in love with that? Like,
yeah.
like
1000%.
why? Like what was it about it?
Well, I've always loved video games, and I knew that how does one even become a 2D artist? Like it's not like I feel like becoming a 2D animator is very akin to breaking out with a music single on the internet. Like it's kind of it's very happenstance. You might become an Aaron Hansen Ego Raptor from Game Grumps and have like a breakout hit animation on YouTube that people start to recognize you for, but that feels very much like getting discovered in Hollywood to be an actor, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at like sites like
E-Bombs World and
Newgrounds and stuff like that, it's like I'll see animation sometimes and I'm like, why is this person not the most famous person in the world, right? And same thing with like you're seeing like your, you know, the New Jersey recording. It's like people might tell you, or a producer might be like, hey, this is incredible, it's going to be #1, but like if it doesn't resonate, it just doesn't resonate. If the right people don't see it, then the right people don't see it. But it's interesting to think that like once you found 3D sculpting, because it sounds like when you were a kid you were basically making like pitch buckets for video game worlds, right?
Yeah, and I was just so obsessed with the making of a product. Again, I told you that I'd watched like all these making of documentaries with my dad, and like how the people made Star Wars and how CG looked, and like I'll never forget when you had that little shitty graduation ceremony from elementary to middle school. Like everybody wanted to be a cop or a baseball player, an FBI agent, or a fucking astronaut, and I word for word was like, I want to be a visual effects artist. And and that's what I fucking did, and it's wild that it all kind of came back around. And it was like I always loved video games, and I still loved video games up until that point in art school, but I'd always be like, man, how do they, like, I'm working with a basic block here and I'm like pulling out vertices and making edge faces. How the fuck does this turn into Nathan Drake or Master Chief like that? I can't fathom that process. That makes no sense to me, how these primitive shapes become that. And then it wasn't until I took the class for ZBrush, where it's digital sculpting and you are not using primitive shapes anymore. You have a ball of wax that you are pulling edges out of and carving into, and that's how you make a face, and that's how you make a hand, and I was like, oh shit, like I found the thing, and I was like really good at it. And immediately, like, my teacher was like, hey, when do you graduate? I want to get a beer with you. I just can't get a beer with you if you're still in school. So let me know when you graduate. I want to talk to you about your career, sort of thing. And that teacher, I'm still friends with to this day, and he's the one who recommended me to take his old job, like where he was leaving to Certain Affinity to go work on like Halo DLC. And he was like, hey, I'm leaving the studio I'm at right now. Do you want to come replace me? I'm recommending you to take my spot to the other coworkers there. I was like, fuck yeah, okay. Out of college, like, hell yeah. I don't have to really search around a whole lot for a job, because I know that's always the biggest concern, is like, how long is it going to take to get into somewhere after I graduate, you know?
Yeah. That's wild. So like what is there like a certain type of character that you like to create the most? A space marine or a power armor or
so like when I was in college, I was like, I think my part of my portfolio was I made like an Iron Man bust, because like you make a bust and it's just easier. You don't have to make a full body, and you can kind of get it lets people get a grasp on what sort of talent level you have without having to look at them make a whole body, you know. If you can make pretty convincing like hard surface armor with like soft edges and the normal maps look all good and your texture work is great.
If your shell is, if you're making a bust that's catching reflections and textures and shadows fine, they know that you could do the rest of the body if you just had more time.
Yeah. It was mainly that Iron Man piece that kind of like showed a lot of people when we had like our portfolio reviews. People were like, "Oh, this just looks like any artist that I work with right now. Like this is really, really good, and this should be like your showcase piece." I did an Iron Man bust. I did a full body sculpt of a more modernized Dalsim from Street Fighter. And I like worked on the little skull necklace, and I tried to make
that must have been so fun. Like, because
really
he's got
cool.
so many little character details. Like, you know, like you'd even have to do like paint texture on top of his skin and stuff.
Oh yeah, trying to like make a more realistic version of it with like the rope around his shorts that he uses and all the bracelets that he wears and everything like that. So it was like some of the most fun creative stuff that I was able to do, because I wasn't, you know, on my first games industry job, it was like, all right, make a door, make a shield, make a sword, and like still really awesome and better than working at Best Buy for 6 years, but like really creatively fulfilling, you know.
Yeah, but kind of at the same time, it's kind of bumping you down to like an entry level modeler, right?
Yeah,
less than what you're capable of, but still an in.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Regardless,
I also found a lot of fun, sort of taking 2D concept art and turning that into 3D, which is kind of the pipeline you have anyway when you get into 3D work and you work at a studio, where you get the art from the concept artist and you're like, all right, make this into 3D now. And so I had a World of Warcraft, like the Art of WoW book, and I took a couple of landscapes where it's like, here's what somebody drew as like an environment, and I turned that into 3D. And it was like, I think that's one of the easiest ways, if you are talented enough to show that, hey, I can work in this industry, with like, let me recreate this in 3D, you know. And it was like some deserty area with like purple crystal type shit that you would probably walk in WoW at one point. And like, so I kind of just made this portfolio and got hired at my first job, and that was with Richard Garriott, creator of Ultima. And that was like, you know, like, fuck, this guy's the creator of Ultima, you know? Like industry legend type dude. And it was awesome, man. Like I had this moment of realization where I was at our morning meeting stand-up thing, and I was no longer working at Best Buy, and I had quit. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, today I'm working on the shield of blah, 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 and I'm working on the I don't know, this environmental thing, whatever piece, medieval game that we were doing. But I was like, damn, this is my job. Like, I'm in video games now. I fucking did it, you know. And I was very late to. I was like the old dude in school, you know. Like I had taken a year off because of the music stuff. I was very wishy-washy about what I wanted to do. So I was the guy graduating at age 26, and I'm like, I fucking did it. I finally did it, you know.
Yeah. So you were you working at Best Buy whenever you got the job, kind of taking over for your old professor?
Yeah.
I
was working at Best Buy when I first moved to Austin, which I was around 19, and I had taken a job at an AT&T call center, and it was paying really well. But I didn't even make it through training. Like, me and my friend were like, this is not. I don't want to sit at a desk taking calls for 11 hours a day, you know? So I got hired at Best Buy, and that kind of like became, I was working full time, and then I was going to school full time, and that was like a pain in the ass. I was just so exhausted most of the time. And when we talk about class, like at the Art Institute, you would go by quarters. So like you would take, I think, 11 classes, but each class was like 4 hours.
Okay. So it's rather than it's going to take you, a semester to learn this curriculum. It's like, this is a functionality course.
Mhm.
Like, these are the tools. Here's how to use it. I mean, they're not going to, it's more about functionality and application than here's how to be creative.
Yeah, 1000%. You were kind of like immediately thrown into the lion's den. Like it was like, this is a 4-hour class, which means there's only 11 of them, which means that you probably shouldn't miss one. And that was like even tougher just because of how tired I was, and I was always getting sick, and I was just super unhealthy, and then at that point I was doing that for about 4 years, and for the last year-ish, my aunt was like, "Hey, do you want to live with us and like pay less rent?
Yeah.
And we'll rent out our room for you for like a quarter of what you're paying in rent right now, which means that you won't have to work full time." And I was like, dude, I am forever grateful for that, because they allowed me in like my final year and a half of school to focus a lot more and not be, I'm working at Best Buy from 8 to 5 and going to school from 6 to 10. Like that was a fucking nightmare.
I think about that all the time, what it was like, because I've been working since I was 16, right? So it was like, how the hell was I getting up at 7 a.m, going to class until 1:32, going home, and then working at Olive Garden from 3:34 up till midnight, then playing video games, and freaking beasting until like 4 a.m, sleeping an hour, and then doing it like on loop.
I don't know how I had the threshold for that. Like I don't know how because before I even left to Austin, I was doing the same thing. I was going to the local community college back home.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at a car dealership as like customer service, and then I had to also find time to play video games with friends and hang out, and having those stupid moments of like, hey dude, just call in tomorrow, dude. Like, all right, I'll fucking call in. I'll call in. The Cowboys play tomorrow at noon. Yeah, I'll call in. Fuck yeah.
So I love talking about like the moment when it's like, because obviously we're like so fucking lucky to be able to work where we are for a living. Can you tell me just a little bit more insight? Because I love living it with people where it's like, yo, Best Buy's done. Like, I'm not asking like, did you go poop on the desks or anything, but tell me a little bit more about the transition from whenever you got to quit and go in.
Well, the thing was like, I was like, I'd say a good employee. Like I wasn't like a dickhead to anybody. And it's not like while I was there, I was a miserable asshole. I very much loved the people that I worked with. I became friends with a lot of them, and the day I quit was like kind of sad because this is like a big chunk of my life. And I was also worried about quitting because I was worried about the prospect of having to go back. And
always.
And just dreading that day if that inevitable day happened that, hey, you got laid off from the game dev job. Because mind you, while I was in college, I took an internship at Sony Online Entertainment, who were making the DCUO game, DC Universe Online. I had what's the word I just thought of? The word I just said. I was in school. I was doing the work thing at the same time I was in school. What's the fucking word?
Interning?
I was interning. There you go. I just said it. How did I fucking forget it? I was just interning there, and in like my third day of interning, they had mass layoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm there at my desk. I don't know anybody still. It's like my third day interning of like a 3-week internship. And suddenly fucking 30 people are being let go. And I'm just like, this shit just happens here?
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
It's as easy as that, man.
And that kind of immediately instilled this fear of the sort of unstable life of a game developer. And that fear stayed there for a lot of my time in game dev. But yeah, that moment of leaving Best Buy, it was like, all right, I'm quitting. That's it for me. I still have dreams of Best Buy to this day, like that I had to go back and work. Those sort of like nightmare dreams. And then it didn't really hit me until my first Black Friday off. And the first weekend that I got to be with my family on Thanksgiving, where every other year my family would drive up to Austin for Thanksgiving. And we have a lot of uncles and aunts there as well. So we would have Thanksgiving at my aunt's house, and I'd eat lunch with them, and then I would leave to work like at 3 p.m. because we were going to do something that Thanksgiving night to prep for Black Friday. And it wasn't until the first weekend where I didn't have to do any of that I was like, oh man, I don't work in retail anymore. This is huge for me. And it was such a relief. Like being able to be with my family and not have to worry about going to work at 11 p.m. and leaving at 11 a.m. because Black Friday, you have to work that 13, 14-hour shift or whatever. It was such a great feeling knowing that I didn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's the same kind. Like I have server nightmares like all the time. I served for 8 years, and that was like, well, my server job wasn't that bad at all. I worked at like a steakhouse across the street from like Cowboy Stadium and stuff, like the last couple of years. So it was cool. There's baseball games happening all the time and stuff. So, but
what's the usual server nightmare dream? Like, run me through it.
It is taking a single item that somebody wanted after delivering their food. It's getting them, I need an extra side of ranch, or it's a tea refill. And no matter what, I can't get it back to them. There's something always stopping me. It's absolutely terrifying.
But is it you are back serving even though you are still working for hang time?
Yeah, so I've had dreams where I'm working 2 jobs. And it's if I lose this job, hang time will fail, or game attack would have failed in the back then. But it's always something very simple. Like somebody needs a tea refill, and I know that subconsciously they're getting really angry with me. And we're out of tea. I got to redo another batch. Somebody knocked it over. There's no ice. I got to go cut lemons. I have to run food for somebody else. Or I forgot about the tea. I also have a recurring university dream where I've skipped an entire semester of chem, and I'm going into the final.
That is beat for beat like the same school dream I have. Yeah. Where I'm at art school, but I'm taking like college algebra or some shit, or whatever class, and I realize that, damn, I missed 9 of these 11 classes. I went the first day, and I haven't been back since, and I just kind of forgot. And I had today's the final, like today's the last thing, and it's like the amount of tension I think that maybe I have in life that's causing that dream to happen. The amount of anxiety I have in life that's causing that dream to happen. It's also, I'm back at Best Buy, and shit, I gotta learn this system again. What was my login? Oh, and I'm still working with some coworkers, which is great. I recognize their faces and they remember me, but there's a lot of new people I don't know. And how long am I going to be here for?
And it's almost like you're retraining again, but everyone around you and the customers expect you to be the old person who knew everything. Yeah. And you're put under the same duress, like you didn't go read through the training again. It's like this dispreparation. But I've had less server nightmares, and less but every time I wake up from them, it takes me a solid hour to be like, the university dream more than the other one. It takes me like an hour to like get over the anxiety and like fully realize that, hey, like you didn't even take anything above base bio. Like you were an English major. Like you never even took a chemistry 1302. And then it just kind of like goes away.
I do notice that like near the end of the dream into me waking up, even like the Andy in the dream at the end of it will be like, oh, but this isn't real anyway, so it's all good. Like I should be okay because this what I'm experiencing is not real. And then I wake up and go, oh, thank fucking Christ, thank God, I don't have to do that quiz or whatever. And it's always the man, you missed all year and you forgot you even had this class, dude.
Yeah.
How are you gonna convince this teacher to be cool with this? Like, you can't.
I was telling Chelsea about this, but my first semester at JUCO, I had a television course where you'd watch the VHS tapes. I didn't do a single assignment, and I completely forgot that I didn't even enrolled in the class, right? And so I think that was the only I ever took, because I think they give you like 2 of them in your entire collegiate career. It's like a mulligan on the class. It's like, thanks, you just paid us thousands. You can just not even pretend it happened. I think it's weird that I've never had I missed this NZXT email, or I didn't prep for this sponsored stream, or like, I missed my flight to Guardian Con. I've never had a content creator's like biz dev, like,
I think the only
breakdown dream.
I think the only ones I've had are you're doing a big bit for the next Kind of Funny Live and you never rehearsed it. Because it's always that, and it's also like when I was in school, I was in theater, and you didn't memorize any of your lines, dude. Like the show's today, and you had the last 2 weeks to read your lines, and now you're kind of just going into this without having memorized them. So it's that dream quite a bit, and it's also like, you had a big bit that you were going to do for this live show, and you had never rehearsed this, so how are you going to pull it off? Those are the only ones, but for the most part, it is I'm back in school, and you're absolutely just fucked right now.
Has the fear of I don't know if it's an issue for you, but has the fear of
I'll just say
complete,
yes.
complete creator, like dissolvement, like, has that subsided in you yet? Like, I still keep my bolo tie from the steakhouse. I keep that. Like, I never got rid of it. But like, I am terrified of not as much as I used to be, but like, I am terrified of like, what if one day we go live and the audience is just like, we just decided we're never gonna watch you again.
No,
like,
that feeling is always there. Like and a lot of that is just completely irrational thoughts. But
of course,
for the most part, it's, I might be driving down the street in an Uber and I see a homeless person. And I go, fuck, what if Kind of Funny goes under and I just become homeless one day? And it's like the most irrational thing ever. But logically, I think it makes sense, and I jump there without any real reason. But yeah, for sure. I always think of what the fallback is going to be. When I got my first game dev job, and we were gonna have layoffs, and like we knew that there were gonna be layoffs, but my bosses were like, "Hey, we're making sure nothing happens to you." But I was still worried, and I figured this won't be the last time this happens. So I was already talking to my friends about like, I might just go back home and get like a teacher's degree. I might like try to become a teacher, because like I don't think this is gonna be stable at all. Like the fact that I knew so many people there in game dev who, at my first job, that had been in the industry for 5+ years, and they knew to save money so that they could use that money for the next move when they get laid off.
Interesting.
I save up all the time, because when I get laid off here, I'm going to move to Washington for the next job, or move to California for the next job. And like, that just seems like such a nightmare way to live. And I was always terrified of the prospect of that, of just having to pick, like, I'd never even wanted to unpack my shit in my apartment, because I'm like, what if I just get laid off and now I got to move to wherever for the next job? So like,
also it makes it real.
Yeah,
it makes it real, because it's like, you don't want to get comfortable, especially in like a cultured environment like that. It sounds very strange.
Yeah, it feels very like you don't have a place to call home, and that always kind of scared me because I feel like every place that I had worked prior, uh, we became very familial with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of grow these friendships, and the idea of just like, all right, packing up and leaving, like later, everybody. I was made a bit less worried about it because like I don't have a wife or a girlfriend, and I don't have a family, and I can't imagine how stressful that must be if you do have a family and like, all right,
Yeah.
well, dad's got to go work for wherever in Sacramento now later. Let's go
If
pack up our
moving your kids
bags.
out of school,
Yeah,
like
like
all that stuff,
I
that's got to be crazy.
I think that like I was made more comfortable with the fact that I wouldn't have to do that, that it would just be me. But
Mm-hmm.
still, the idea of it was just like terrifying, and having to
Yeah.
pack up everything and leave was just always in the back of my mind. And even now, like one YouTube comment will just drive me down a rabbit hole of what if, you know, like
Oh yeah, it sucks. Like I'm the same way. It sucks for. I feel like really bad though because like we haven't even relaunched our YouTube channel yet because we're waiting for the hanger, right? Like I even got a YouTube comment yesterday, and it was like from a guy who used to watch all the time, used to donate all the time, like used to be in the community and like really supportive, and then it's like, it's a YouTube definitely fickle about me, and it's like, hey, he ruined everything. It's like that's completely irrational, and and like Twitch viewership is the highest it's ever been, like since Game Attack ever, and like we're growing new YouTube channels and we're like rock solid, but it's like since it's me now, even though we're pretty much doing exactly what you used to do, it's different. And then I'm just like, cool. Am I ruining
that seed
everything?
of
What's
doubt.
happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
just like,
but a lot of that obviously isn't rational. It's just brain chemistry fucking with yourself, and that's why like I started to seek help for my mental issues, you know, and like
yeah,
not just the ADHD that I've dealt with every day of my life, but a lot of the anxiety stuff of like there's no reason for me to be jumping to this conclusion. Like this isn't a
yeah,
normal thing to do. I should seek something to help out because
yeah,
like it's not normal to lay in bed at night wondering about the most catastrophic possibilities. Like just go to fucking sleep, dude. You're not sleeping because you're thinking about what if it all comes crashing down, and you're thinking that every goddamn night, you know.
yeah. I got I don't have a read form or anything, but I used BetterHelp. It's like an app for therapy where they hook you up with a therapist and you do like vid conferencing. And I did a couple of weeks of it to kind of combat my like super bad unhealthy anxiety.
Yeah.
And I remember my therapist she was like, why are you worried all the time? And I was like, well, I employ people now, and like I'm scared something's gonna happen, and like they're they won't get to make money anymore, and they'll have to find jobs. And she just goes, well, are they stupid? I was like, no, they're pretty damn smart. And she goes, then shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna they'll find something else. That helped me a lot, just to have like a third party, just somebody that's not, even though I love Chelsea and I believe her, she's also partial, so she might be lying to me about stressing out. But having a stranger just be like, yeah, you just need to chill the hell out, like that helped a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, it sucks. I hate comments. I'm very like, because I've been online for like 8 years now, so it's like I'm very much against the I don't know, it's toxic. But I don't really give a shit. I hate the just ignore them. It's like, no, I'm gonna tell him to shut the fuck up, and then I'm gonna block him. like, I'm trying to figure out the balance of like handling the hecklers.
I think it just depends on what my mood is that day.
Yeah,
And I try to do it from my personal YouTube channel account as opposed to doing it on the Kind of Funny account.
yeah,
Because I don't think that looks great presentationally.
yeah,
I think of like what an outsider might think if you see the official account fighting with somebody else. Like I think the optics of that don't look great unless it's again, it's all a case by case basis, but if it's like the most irrational comment ever, and we leave something that's like a good zinger burn that is
Yeah.
funny, then I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. But for the most part, it is me going like, well, no, I'm not I'm not an Xbot because I do like Sony games. And to the next
Yeah.
person, I'm going, no, I'm not a Sony pony because remember I like all these Xbox games too. It's like
Yeah.
it's always just arguing the opposite side against people who think you lean one way or the other, or it's just like people bringing up old ass drama bullshit that it's like get a fucking life and move on. Like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude.
Yeah. Like the other day, I had a comment from a Jesus Christ account. So I was like, that said we should get real jobs. And like, it was Jesus Christ, like on the YouTube channel.
I was wondering what you meant.
So I replied with the brand account, like, fuck off, Jesus, because it's funny, right? So I screen capped it and then I deleted the comment for the Twitter post. But then, like, when somebody like personally texts me, I do the same thing. I'll get on the like personal YouTube account, but like, hey, don't come back.
Yeah. I feel like we're pretty good about that as well. Like if there are known bad actors, just being like, hey, we're not for you anymore. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need you here. And I find a lot of I don't know. I find a lot of peace in that, to be able to, like, I don't really even get mad at those comments anymore. I think I just kind of say like, I may have gotten mad at this 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And now I'm just like, you got to do anything else with your life, man. Like,
Yeah.
please contribute to society in a positive way. Please, like, because you're just kind of wasting your time here.
Yeah.
We're making you unhappy, and there's nothing that we can do to really change that. You're not happy with who we are anymore, and you haven't been for 5 years, for 4 years now.
Yeah.
Please go away, you know?
Yeah.
And at that
It's
point,
like-
you just kind of got to make peace with it.
Yeah. Leave me alone is like a very good, like,
I do the LOL go away. Like just fucking go away, you loser. Like you're a fucking loser right now. And like there's
Yeah.
no real other sort of insult to call him. It's just like you're being a loser right now, man. Like just go away. You're useless right now. You're being useless to the world at large. So please find a better use for your time.
Yeah. Okay, enough about the losers. So I want to talk about your Twitch channel because, like, I've just watched you grow. Like, you know, you're on with Kind of Funny, right? But like, Twitch promotes you. You do such a good job of taking your Twitch and then promoting it on Twitter, right? Have you felt like a lot of your Twitch growth has come from like posting those clips? Because like your view counts on Twitter are like crazy. You got like 85,000 people or 85,000 views and stuff on your Twitch videos all the time. And I take cues from your Twitter feed as well because you're so smart. You like even take it with the aspect ratio, right, to where it looks clean on a Twitter timeline. I don't know, just how do you grow?
I think
on Twitch.
I think I started noticing kind of the growth happen with my Mario Maker videos.
Mm-hmm.
That was like kind of a big defining moment in what the streams are. Because before that, I don't know, I still feel like I had a voice and a thing that I would do, and people were coming for. They would show up for the personality and maybe gameplay secondary, and I think that's kind of just been Kind of Funny in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't until those Mario Maker streams that I started getting a lot of compliments from people that I didn't even know would watch my Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that says a lot about, because I watch a lot of people's like Twitch channels every once in a while, but like the fact that random people that I didn't even know use Twitch would be like, hey man, those Mario Maker videos are hilarious. And I was like, oh damn, like I think I kind of have something here. And a lot of it was like, I don't know, I feel like I felt more confidence in posting those things because it was Ross of the Game Grumps who was making those Mario Maker levels. and he would make a bunch of levels, and I was like, oh, I'm a fan of Ross, let me go play these levels. So I would tweet, hey, I'm playing Rubber Ross's level. And I didn't know him personally at the time.
Yeah.
And then he sent his whole Twitter feed to my stream and was like, hey, I'm watching this guy I don't know, like completely mauled and get mad at these levels. It's funny. Let's watch him break down.
Uh-huh.
And that's where he and I kind of became friends and started to know each other from doing a lot of his levels. And from there, those like making those breakouts, and it's a lot of extra work and shit, but I think it's really useful to show people that I don't know, like I think people have this weird idea of what Twitch streaming can be, but if you see it in a video clip and if it makes you laugh, you understand that that's a legitimate form of entertainment. And maybe I didn't think that watching people play games was, maybe I thought that was a waste of time at one point. Why not just go watch the game, play the game yourself or whatever? But if a video clip makes you laugh, it's like, oh shit, maybe I do want more of this. Maybe I kind of want to be in this community more. Oh, he's playing that hard game. Now I got to go see him get mad at that game. And I think a lot of that just sort of naturally like snowballs into itself. So yeah, I had I think the Mario Maker stuff was kind of a big moment for me. And then just kind of doing all the stupid like cutout
the masks and stuff like that.
Like I think doing all that stuff adds more personality onto it. And even if you aren't necessarily, I love doing those cutout things when I know that there are people watching that don't know the content.
Yes.
And it's my favorite thing to sort of surprise people, and for them to go like, oh shit, he does this too, and it's like, you know, sure, some may think it's cringy, but I think when people may have a general gist of who I am and what my personality is, and like, I think I'm funny. Like, obviously, I wouldn't feel. It sounds cocky to say that, but like, I wouldn't feel.
There's a healthy degree of narcissism when it comes to content creation. You have to.
Yeah. I wouldn't feel confident in doing it if I knew that people didn't laugh at it. And so. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's just kind of been a really cool process to see the channel grow and to get more recognition for the things that I put a lot of time and effort into. Because like it's a grind, but it feels worth it at the end of the day when you get those really meaningful messages from people. And that's why I miss conventions, man.
Oh yeah,
it makes all of it worth
crazy.
it.
Yeah, but it's hard as like a brand. Like, one of the biggest mistakes that I make is I compare our brand growth to like solo performers. It's like, man, Andy's growing and he's doing this, and then like it's like to make those clips, it's almost harder to like, because when I look at your feed and everything you have going on, I'm like, dude, Andy is working at Kind of Funny, which like that's hard. That's a lot of work. Like in a creative role, right? And you're growing your Twitch channel, and you're doing your TikToks, and Kind of Funny's growing on other platforms on the talk and stuff, and you're cutting and curating an incredible like Twitter feed of your highlight content. It's like, damn, Andy works. And you have to work so much.
It's a lot of fucking work, and I think I'm not gonna try to sort of, you know, glorify that grind, because I don't think it's healthy. But I was certainly doing a lot less of this when I had a girlfriend here in San Francisco, and when I would only stream during the week because I would be at her apartment on the weekends.
Yeah,
I was definitely doing a lot less of it, and kind of like, I saw it as like an opportunity to grow this side of the personal, the personal stream side. Because shout out to Kind of Funny, and shout out to Tim and Greg and Nick for being like, "Hey, do whatever you want on the side. We're not gonna take money from you. We're not gonna do the thing where, you know, we're gonna take a percentage from whatever your earnings are. Do whatever you want. Like, we would be hypocritical to do that, because that's why we left IGN." And we don't want you to feel that way. And I think once I had that breakup, about 3.5, 4 years ago now, I was like, I have a lot of free time now, and I'm going
Yeah.
to absolutely take advantage of this. And it's still a lot of work. Like I'm still learning how to balance it, because I still find myself during these streams at night being like, I got to end by 9:30 p.m. I can't be ending at 10:30 because I take a while to wind down. I got to get that video. I got to kind of edit it in a way. I just don't like uploading the VODs. I like curating kind of the intros and making it quick and snappy to kind of make people laugh. And I'm very aware of like, all right, I'm hitting record now. I have this bit that I want to like make a joke about and try to make people laugh. So how can I make the intro of this video quick and snappy so that people can stay here for the longer VOD of it? And then I got to render that out, and then I got to make a thumbnail for it, and then I got to put it on the YouTube channel and set when the ads are going to play. And oh fuck, I didn't make the thumbnail, so I got, oh shit, damn, what time is it? And it's scheduled, oh shit, it's already 1:38 a.m. And I have to wake up at 9 in the morning.
And you have to be up, and you have to be on for the other guys. Yeah. Right?
And that's the balance that's been really tough to figure, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but like, it's been absolutely worth it to see people at Twitch really take notice and be like, oh man, like this guy is fostering a community that, because we have friends that work at Twitch, and they know the community that Kind of Funny wants to build. Yeah. And they know that, during the election, we made that big sort of line in the sand, and we're like, yeah, you can't really say that you're a fan of what we are and what we believe in if you also feel this other way, So like, I think like the fact that a lot of the community knows who we are and what we want to be, and that I'm doing this on the side, and it's a grind, but it's definitely felt really worth it, to sort of see those numbers go up, to see more people being interested, to see, like, there's never a better feeling than when somebody walks into the stream and says, hey man, I saw your TikTok, really funny stuff. And I ask them where they're from, and they're like, oh, I don't even, what's Kind of Funny? And it's like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
I was just about to say, it's like your side gig could also bring value to Kind of Funny. That's honestly, me and the guys haven't really talked about personal channels too much. I remember when PETA came on, he kind of talked about his Twitch channel, and I was like, I think you'll understand how exhausting our content is whenever you get here. But that's kind of like, I think it's a really smart strategy. We're kind of in a spot to where like we need the base infrastructure first before we can start doing separate channels. And I don't know, it hasn't been a conversation with us at all really. But I think it's because we stream so much, and then all of us are married or have girlfriends. No offense, Andy.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But like, I think we're exhausted a lot of the time. But I always think about the Wu-Tang Clan and like how, like ODB and Redman, like them all going out and doing solo albums makes the core like stronger, right?
And they see the same thing too. Yeah, Tim and Greg absolutely see it that way. Of like, that brings value back to us as well. Like we know that you are building a fan base outside of the typical Kind of Funny fan base, and that can all come back around to us as well. And I don't know, man. Like it's definitely it's been really awesome to see the growth and to see that. It matters to people, and the fact that people sit around at night going like, hey man, you going live tonight? Like, that's such a cool feeling. And it immediately takes away a lot of the doubt that I have because I have those nights all the time. And I have the nights of I'll pull up Twitch and I'll start watching Twitch, and I was gonna go live, and it's 6:41 p.m. and I was gonna go live, and suddenly it's 8:53, and I'm like, I guess I'm not going live. And I have those nights all the time. Like, is anybody gonna show up to watch me play this game? It's a lot easier to have a game right now like Elden Ring, where it's like, I don't want to experience it without chat.
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot more reason to play it on stream. But there are a lot of games that are just like a random single player game that it's like, is anybody gonna want to watch this? Probably not, right? I probably shouldn't stream.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so easy to have those doubts, and it constantly sort of fucks with me. So
yeah, I mean, even as a company, it's like I have a horde of games that I've saved for streams that will never ever get played
yeah,
on the stream. Like my backlog, I got honestly, like when I saw you play Ghost Runner, I remember you booted up Ghost Runner and you were streaming to like 450 people, right? And I did the thing where I compared, but I just thought, man, I fucking wish we could, because if we booted up Ghost Runner, even like during regular schedule days, we would probably have like less than average viewership, which is fine. But like, I just remember thinking like, man, that's where I want our channel to be, is just generally in a spot where we could play literally anything without special alerts or costumes or anything. Just literally sit there and play a game like Ghost Runner, kind of under the radar, but really, really fucking sick, and just have everybody show up. So, I don't know. I think just know that, like, you should be commended for, because as a creator and knowing what that takes, like PETA's entire role is to take stuff we do and try to curate social video. Right?
Yeah.
You're doing it alone for your own channel on top of what I'm assuming is more than a full-time job just from being in the biz, right? So, like, you have something really cool.
Thanks.
And, you know, I think just know that I look at your Twitter content and I'm like, Andy knows exactly what he's doing. Because I can genuinely only think of maybe 5 people that I've ever seen like just organic growth from, right? And yes, people could attribute like your Twitch growth to like kind of funny, but like no, it's coming from your talks and your Twitter viewership or your Twitter posts and the virality of your creativity. And like, you're doing something that is impossible. Like, talking to Twitch reps, I'm like, hey, Twitch has a lot of UI and functionality issues, and organic growth is absolutely trash. Twitch reps tell me to go to other platforms. Twitch reps tell me, get off of Twitch, go to YouTube, go to TikTok, post to Twitter. Which to me is like the most psychotic thing you could ever tell a creator and partner on your platform. It's like, so you want me to go advocate other platforms that aren't you? Okay. But it's just a testimony to the impossibility of growing a channel. And yeah, man.
Honestly, I think a lot of it, like, if you could take one positive thing from what the pandemic has done on this planet, I think it made a lot of our audience more online aware. Where before the pandemic hit, Games Daily was doing, I'd say around, about, for anybody listening, Kind of Funny Games Daily is our daily games industry news show, and before the pandemic hit, we were doing around like 750 to 800 ish. Sometimes lower, sometimes more, depending on the news day, depending on if there was breaking news or whatever. But around like 800, it was like the high 3-digit mark. And once we kind of went more to this online format and work from home, those numbers went up because people who at one point have maybe said, I don't watch Twitch streams, I don't watch people play games, just naturally became more a part of it because we turned our kind of company to have to do that because we couldn't be in a studio anymore. And also people going, when are they going back to the studio? I was like, what fucking studio? We don't have a studio. The amount of times, like, well, not only were we building the new one, but the old one's gone, y'all. Like, it's been gone. Sorry, you missed that Twitter post. You missed that video. Like, the old studio, the lease is up on. So that's why we're still working from home. But, like, that turning the audience kind of becoming more aware that online Twitch streaming is becoming more of a thing with this company, and people naturally wanting to be a part of that community, and then going, oh, Andy also streams.
Yeah.
Oh, Snowmac Mike also streams, and following individual channels just kind of becomes a natural thing.
Because they can spend all day with you.
Yeah, and before pandemic or anything like that, I remember I had like a big sort of anxiety breaking point where, because I think like for the first year and a half, I was averaging maybe like 110, 120 viewers, which is like still really good. Like I'm not trying to down talk those numbers.
You're in the 1% if you're above 50 people,
Yeah, and then I remember streaming Destiny 2 on one of their big sort of expansion days, and I had like 50 viewers, and I was like, oof, what's wrong here? And then I streamed Destiny 2 again, and I had like 40 viewers, and I was like, oh man, it's all crashing down. Nobody gives a shit about you, Andy. And I had like a big moment where I had like a freak out of, is this a viable thing for me to do anymore? But I think just naturally getting over that hill, and not only trying to find games that people are interested in, but finding games that I can find content around. And then, making those Twitter clips and TikTok and Instagram videos, and, having people show up because they saw my video on their Instagram Discover feed, and it was like a cool Call of Duty headshot, and I made a stupid joke afterwards. Like, it's stuff like that I think can really bring people in, because I'll never be the best gamer, and I'll never be the funniest guy, but damn if I'm going to try to be both, like a little bit of both of them, I think like bringing some sort of video game skill and trying to make people laugh definitely has gone a long way with me and getting people into the community.
Even your bat joke the other day, where you had a clip of you were looking over a clip on Elden Ring, and some bat hit you
just hit me from behind.
Yeah, you could see your whole fucking desk shake because you were just
scared the shit out of it.
Yeah, I can't remember what the joke was because it wasn't very good.
Yeah,
but
terrible joke, yeah.
But I laughed at my Twitter feed, and it was just like, it's a treat. It's a nice little treat. But whenever you're playing, like, I find myself, I'll lurk in your streams when you're playing like weird fucking games, like the Hyper Light Drifter sequel or whatever that was, and
Solar Ash.
Because I'm just like, that's what interests me, especially like as a fellow streamer. It's like how is Andy getting so many people to watch this game? And then you go in and you watch, and it's like, it's because Andy's built a dedicated community that will watch him play anything. And it's like, way to fucking go.
Again, a lot of it goes back to Kind of Funny though, where because that's not always the case. Like, I think I had like I finally like had a Twitch rep meeting where I remember you telling me like that you had a Twitch rep, and I was like, oh, people have Twitch reps? What? And I finally had a meeting with somebody, and they were like, well, you average this amount of viewers, which is great. I was like, well, like a lot of that is coming from raids and stuff, so keep that in mind. But when it comes to playing those weird off games, a lot of that comes from the nature of our job and podcasting about games, and having Kind of Funny Games Daily and Gamescast, where we review games, and I try to play a lot of smaller indie titles that are very me-ish games, and then people go, oh, Andy's streaming that new game, let me see what that's all about. And I think all of that kind of comes full circle, where if we didn't necessarily have a games talk show to give a platform to these smaller games, I don't think the viewership would be there for some of those smaller titles that people would go, what the hell is this that he's playing right now?
Yeah, because you also give insight to why you would even stream it in the first place, right? And so, they have an opportunity to, I mean, it's awesome. They have an opportunity to see why the hell you would talk about it on their favorite games podcast.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people in the audience are also looking for like, is this a game I would play?
Yeah.
Oh, you dig it? Oh, and you're also a fan of this? Well, that's great, because I'm also a fan of what you're into. Maybe I don't like that game you're into, so I won't try out this one, blah, blah, blah. Like, people kind of find their reasons to try out the game that I'm trying. But I think whenever it's the smaller games that will likely never find an audience, I attribute that to, oh, these are the people trying to see if they want to buy it. These are the people that are interested in the conversation. And when it's the rage-inducing games, it's like, oh, this is the Mario Maker audience. These are the people that love watching me play Cuphead. These are the people that love watching me play Dark Souls for the first time. And when it's the multiplayer games, oh, they're here to watch me and Snow Mike do shit. They want, oh, Nick's here too. Oh, Daddy Nick's here. Hell yeah. Like, it becomes kind of like there's different audiences for different games that I play. And I recognize that. Like, when I play a Souls game, I know who I'm going to see. And it's a reason why I don't want to blow my Souls load. I keep telling people, like, I don't want to stream all the Souls game back to back to back to back to back and then have nothing else to do ever again. Like, I know you all want me to play Dark Souls 3 for the first time. You're gonna wait a while, because like if I do all of it and then I'm gonna feel in the back of my mind my anxiety is gonna go, but now they will be gone forever.
And now it's nothing.
I
think like PETA, our newest hire, like he dedicated shooter player, big time, right? So like we ran him through Bloodborne, and it's like, cool, maybe in a couple of months we'll roll like Demon Souls, then we'll roll Dark Souls 1. And it's like, I played Kingdom Hearts on the channel like a long time ago, and I'd never played like any of them before, so that was like a very good viewer thing because it's such a beloved game. So then Grayson played Kingdom Hearts, and like we spaced the playthroughs out because it's like, I mean, there is a time when we will have played everything, like
or sure.
that everything.
Like for me, I know in the back of my mind, if I'm ever stressed out about viewership, if I ever feel like I'm like the stream is performing badly, play a scary game. And like I know for a fact right now that I could be a lot more lucrative if I played scary games, because I know that that's what our audience knows, that I hate scary shit. They know I won't even be on the podcast for In Review for Kind of Funny, where we watch like the Conjuring movies. I won't do it. I don't like doing scary shit. But I know that if I were to ever play a scary game, people would show up big time for those. Yeah. And it's a testament to, I think, how true I am to myself that I don't do that. Because like I'd rather not deal with the stress than, you know, have a big subscription day that day. Like I'd rather just not deal with it. Like it's not worth it to me in that sense. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like whenever I tell chat that, I try to just be as like upfront and honest with them as possible. Yeah. And I feel like they generally will really appreciate that that open and upfront honesty with them, you know.
Yeah. We're kind of sellouts because in the complete opposite sense, we monetize way to ruin our favorite games. Like we did Star Wars Week with PETA, but like for $100 tip, he would have to play Super Bombad Racing on PlayStation 2, which is like the worst fucking Star Wars game ever. So like every time, and we had like a roulette wheel where it was like every time we hit a time extension, which is like, you know, y'all's monthly goals, we would spin the wheel. So he'd be mid in Revenge of the Sith on PS2. We'd get a time extension. He'd spin and he'd have to go play Bounty Hunter. And then like sometimes he'd spin and he'd get to land on Battlefront 2, which like he really, really wanted to play, like the old Battlefront. Mm-hmm. And so he'd go in, he'd get to the starting screen, and then somebody would hit him with $100 tip, and he'd have to go play Bombad Racing, which he is. And Pete is not very good at video games. That aren't. I mean, he's super talented at like shooters and stuff, but it's like he like we told him to press L3 the other day. He looked at the controller. It was incredible.
Oh wow!
It was. He goes. It was so awesome.
Do you think that's a product of him being so first person shooter focused? Because like I've played Apex and Valorant with PETA for like years, like off and on here and there, but like. Back in the day when it'd be like me, Fredo, and PETA playing some first-person shooter, I'd be like, God, he's so good, and I'm so bad at these games.
He's ultra competitive, which is incredible for a variety channel and not playing shooters.
Well,
and we are going to build
like Fredo joining Achievement Hunter. It's very similar.
Exactly. Yes. But we are going to build like a bench style battle station in the new office. So we're going to do the multicam streams, but we want to be able to like high five each other and do laps around the office when we win and shit. So we will get back into BRs and Apex and, you know, maybe PUBG if Linception ever fixes it. But and we not only do we monetize stuff by ruining stuff that we love, we'll monetize stuff we hate. Like, you know, we did a stream, like, I hate ARMS, I hate Mumford and Sons. And so we did a stream one time where like
ARMS, the Nintendo game.
ARMS, the Nintendo game, yes. So we did a stream one time where like I played ARMS and then I'd have to sing Mumford and Sons songs karaoke like whenever they tipped.
By the way, one of the most freezing cold takes I've ever had. Like, I thought ARMS was gonna be the next big thing. That's like,
no,
like
you did.
If freezing cold takes of video games existed, and I should probably make that Twitter account right the fuck now. But if the audience doesn't know what freezing cold takes is, it's an account that will look back at people in the sports media side of the industry, and they will retweet and screen capture old takes that did not age well. So it'll always be like, oh man, like a recent one I saw was like, Cowboys draft pick Micah Parsons, what a fucking terrible pick, awful draft, and like he's immediately one of the best defensive players. So that gets retweeted and sort of aggregated. And yeah, on the podcast, like, I'll never forget talking about ARMS being like, this is gonna be Nintendo's Overwatch right here.
Oh, geez.
I legitimately thought it was going to be Nintendo's Overwatch. And yeah, it was, what a game that was forgotten about
Overwatch.
So quickly.
Oh, yeah. God, I love that for you.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on, it's pretty late into the podcast, so I'm going to let you go here in a second, but I want to ask one more thing. Roll the Bones by Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not the weirdest song in the history of musicians?
Jack, relax. Get busy with the facts.
With the facts. Come on!
Zodiacs, almanacs, radiacs, polyester slacks with the facts. Gotta get that gluteus max. Oh my god, what a weird ass song. But it's great, dude. It's fucking great, dude. Rush is the greatest band to ever exist. Rush is the greatest band to ever exist. Like
the chorus, just the chorus alone. Like when you said Rush, I was like, I gotta get his Roll the Bones take. Why does it happen? And then like I'm like 11 listening to it in my uncle's pickup truck, and I'm like, why does it happen? And he goes, because it happens. Roll the bone. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
It's
like
Neil Peart. He's a poet. Rest in peace, Neil Peart. Like, man, the amount of times that I like would have pots and pans and cereal boxes surrounded myself pretending I'm Neil Peart on the rotating drum set. Best band of all time. Like you're talking about a band that existed and thrived through all of the eras. And if you have any interest in music, their documentary is still one of my favorite music documentaries.
I haven't seen
all time. It's called Beyond the Lighted Stage. I think it's still on Netflix. And they talk like the greatest moments of them like doing the commercial music thing, and then they wrote they made another album after that, and the record label was like, we're going to drop you if the next one doesn't do well, because this one isn't doing well. So you all better get back to the commercial shit that you were doing earlier. And they were like, fuck that. We're going to write 2112. And it hit like a motherfucker. And at they're on the documentary being like, we're writing this album, and I know it's not going to do well, and I know that I'm going to go back to work with my dad at his car fucking repair shop. We don't care. I'm not going to conform and go back to your commercial shit. We're going to write 2112 with a 12-minute song that is not radio-friendly whatsoever, and it absolutely hit. But the fact that they, like, lasted generations, and then they
survived.
They were a
metal
synthwave
and
pop
grunge.
band.
Yeah.
They became a synthwave pop band. They became a 90s rock band. They were a 70s, 80s progressive band. It was like, they did it all, and they lasted the whole way. And Rush is my favorite band of all time.
Yeah, I think.
Interesting way to end the podcast.
Yeah, Rush is like, if you don't know, Rush is like Queen, but for mortals. It's like if you wanted Queen, but a little less weird.
If you want Queen, I don't know. I think Shit, if I think that they are like a weirder Led Zeppelin. If you've ever wanted a song about Tolkien and Rivendell, like they've got it for you. If you want a song about a robot who fucking escapes his robot camp that has sort of story analogies to the Holocaust because they grew up with that and had families in the Holocaust, like they got that for you too. It's all sci-fi fantasy shit. It's the best shit of all time, dude.
I want to say that you, knowing the strange hip hop break in Roll the Bones, is it's definitely the most impressed I've ever been with you, and the happiest
the CG
ever been.
was very impressive in that music video. Very good.
I've never seen the. I've never thought to. I have never thought to watch that music video. I'm gonna go do it right now.
The music video is fantastic and really bad CG. It's amazing.
Okay, here we go. All right, so thank you for joining us. Our last week we had Chelsea on to talk about the back end of the business. If you want to talk about, if you want to know about where money goes and how we run our LLC and the importance of merchandise or unimportance of merchandise, go check out that episode. Andy, I love you. Where can they find you?
Kind of Funny Games, Kind of Funny on YouTube. Or just search for the Andy Cortez, kind of wherever you want to look. Twitch is Andy Cortez. There's no the on Twitch.
I love you.
Love
Bye.
you too, Ball.